Did you hear her? She said she's excited for your songs.
Oh, thanks.
I caught her listening to them the other day.
Oh, shit.
I did. I was on the toilet and I was listening real good.
That's going to be inspiration.
That's good. That's great. That's toilet listening, Erin.
Hello and welcome to WayTooBroad, the show and tell program for grown-ups. Bear with us. We're testing it out.
I'm
Hannah.
Bears with us.
Bears with us. That's Ben.
I like to think of that as like a small prayer. It's like, bears with us on this one, guys.
Or Hannah.
And also with you.
Hannah runs this podcast with two bears.
WayTooBears.
Bears with us are Ben and Erin.
Yeah, so Ben was the first person that interrupted me, and Erin is the second person that interrupted me. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, bears. The bears.
Ben, congratulations are in order for your winning the World Series of Baseball.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations
got my hat
on your win.
Yeah, it was a real big win for me.
Yeah, you get to announce to the world who won the World Series of Baseball for the very first time.
Literally a week later.
They've been waiting to know.
The Boston Red Sox.
Woo!
It was great. It was a great World Series of Baseball.
It was. And the next day, Ben got not one, but two congratulations to him for winning the World Series.
Yeah,
of
did he
baseball.
respond to any of them is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Probably not. I forget to respond to almost every message I get.
Yeah. You didn't. It was Erin, and then the other one was from shoutouts to Rachel.
Hey, shoutouts to Rachel. Long time no shoutouts to Rachel.
I'll shoot her a thank you now because I know she's listening.
Frickin'
And
out.
also, I earned it.
Yeah, well, I worked hard all season just about passing the ball back and forth, and I always love when
the interviews.
athletes
we gotta go out there, do our best to win, and that's what we did.
Be best.
And we won.
Hashtag be best to a team in sport.
We gotta go out there and play the sport. We gotta play the sport hard. We gotta win the sport, and that's what we did today. That's what we did every day.
That's what we do. That's what we do. That's
so
how we do.
Spring training, we knew we had a team that could win the sport, and we went out there and we won the sport.
We knew since the beginning of the season we needed to win that sport, and so that's what we did.
I love how they're all the interviews are always like 30 seconds long, and I feel like it's because like halfway through the interviewer is always like, this is nothing. There's no content here.
These are our random words.
Yeah.
So it's like a word generator.
But then I always find myself wondering, like, what did they expect? Because it's like, what do you, like, that's what they did. That's how they won. Like, what do you want them to say?
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same every time.
And they're like, how big was this moment for you? Like, this there was a big thing that happened in, like, the 6th inning. How big was that for you? And I was like, oh, yeah, huge.
Big.
Like...
like out of 10, like what do you want?
Like
and then, actually,
3 out of 5.
My favorite ones are when they're like, take us through this moment, and they just have the player describe what happened during a moment of the game. And
well, it's like, it was recorded, right?
I just watched it. I
saw it on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
I know.
They replayed it like 5 times. I saw it more than the player did.
And if you're at home, they're showing you a clip of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
With the athlete narrating
while they ask. Yes, you're right.
After somebody's just described it to you. Somebody else has just described it to you.
Yeah.
Can one of you guys just do that thing where you're being interviewed again? Because I could literally listen to a podcast that was just that.
Ben's got it.
Okay.
Take it away.
All right. So we got since we started this season, we knew we got sports to do. That's our jobs. We go out there and do sports, and we got a team that can do the sports and win the sports. So what we gotta do, we gotta get out there. We gotta do our best. We gotta win those sports, and that's what we did. That's what we're doing all season. That's just how we do it. That's how we play hard. We win hard. We win the sports.
Ben, you had an amazing moment out there in the field in the 6th inning. Can you describe what happened to us?
Yeah, that was amazing. I went out there. I did my job. I caught the ball, threw the ball, got him out. It was great. Yeah, no, that was big. That was big for us.
And that was big for you. How big was that for you?
Oh yeah, that was huge. That was huge. I don't think we could have. Sometimes you got to make the plays to win the sport, and went out there and made the plays.
Truer words were never spoken. Back to you, Hannah.
Thank you.
You gotta make the plays
to win the sport.
I'm gonna get that tattooed somewhere.
All right, so should we figure out what everybody is drinking?
Let's investigate.
Okay.
What anchor do we send this question to?
Me.
Hannah. And we're going to take it to Hannah in the home office. Hi, Hannah. What are you drinking?
Hannah in the studio.
In the studio.
In the home office. I don't know. I don't watch TV, you guys.
Hannah's working from home.
I'm just trying to promote, work from home culture in news, okay?
Why shouldn't they? They can get a computer.
Yeah,
absolutely. I meant to say a camera.
You can't get a computer. We're a technology podcast. We're here to tell you can get a computer in your house.
Okay, so here in the studio, what I have to drink is I have a Starfruit lemonade polar seltzer.
What? A flavor.
It's very good.
What flavor?
Starfruit lemonade. It's quite delicious.
Does it taste like the stars?
Lemonade?
Yeah.
Dead and distant? What?
Gaseous?
Wait, it's Starfruit lemonade, but it's a seltzer.
It's a seltzer. It's naturally calorie-free, and it doesn't have any sodium.
That was my follow-up.
I knew it. And then also I have some kind of Bloody Mary that I was hastily delivered right after we started recording. It's I think it might. I have a suspicion it might just be a low sodium V8 in a glass.
Well,
with it had like a garnish. On
that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice. I feel like it doesn't matter at the point where you suspect it might be a low sodium V8 in a glass. Like even if it's not, it is.
I agree. Although it's good. I mean, I like low sodium V8.
Yeah, I like V8 of all sodium levels.
Mm-hmm.
I like sodium.
I have a correction.
Sodium.
I have a correction from the.
Oh, a correction. Is it a V6?
It just says with a little bit of other stuff.
Oh.
Wow, great correction.
Is he drugging you? Like, what is the other stuff that's ominous?
You know, I'm actually getting a little bit of spice at the back of my throat now.
Oh, maybe a little cayenne or Old Bay.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Something.
Yeah. Just a little bit of other stuff. Erin, what are you drinking?
Okay, I'm going to tell you, but to the listeners, I don't need anybody all up in my mentions about what I'm drinking, okay?
Okay.
I have a ginger peach sparkling water that's not very good. I have a gin and grapefruit juice, and I have a pint of chocolate milk.
Wait. Run those through again. There's a gin and grapefruit juice.
Okay. There's a ginger peach sparkling water that's not very good. There's a gin and grapefruit juice, and then there's a pint of chocolate milk.
Wow.
Why? Because those are the drinks I wanted.
Those cannot be good together. They cannot be.
My strategy is I'm drinking the chocolate milk first to lay a healthy foundation for the gin and grapefruit juice.
God. Erin, you're gonna make me puke.
Here's what happened. I'm making a gin and grapefruit juice because I have grapefruit juice and gin. Okay, obviously.
That adds up.
Don't
Yeah,
at
that
me.
checks out.
I can send you pictures if you need. And I'm in the fridge and I'm like, oh man, this whole milk is gonna expire. It's whole milk, chocolate milk. It's gonna expire in like 2 days, so I need to get moving on this.
You
So-
just made me spit out some of my low sodium
days.
V8 and other stuff.
With previous radish garnish. And then, so I make myself a cup of chocolate milk, like you do. Like, that's not a problem. It's Friday night. Like, get off my ass.
Get
about it.
wild, yeah.
I
And
love
then-
chocolate milk.
Yeah, me too. What a treat.
doesn't?
And then I'm like, I'm gonna be thirsty, and so I'm got myself a seltzer. And these seltzers aren't very good. I'm trying to move through them.
It's just so important that you get the message out there that these seltzers are not very good.
I do not like the Simply Balanced Ginger Peach Sparkling Water unsweetened
Is that the
with
Target
natural
brand?
flavors.
Seltzer?
Yeah.
I
0 grams of sodium.
I got
0
the
milligrams
lime
of
one
sodium.
when I was at Target, and I felt like, in general, that seltzer was like way too bubbly. Do you get that at all?
No, that I don't mind a way too bubbly. It's just it does. I'm not getting the ginger. It just tastes like peach.
That's fine. Peach is good.
No, it's not. How many
Why
times
did you get it?
How many times did I say it's not very good? Do I need to say it again? I didn't get it. Molly got it for me. It's very sweet because I love that
Oh,
ginger.
so you hate Molly now because she got it for you and you don't like it.
Well, only a little bit, but I made it really clear to her that I didn't like it. I came into the house and I'm like, I don't like these because I've been drinking them a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like she might see me with them and be like, oh, Erin loves those seltzers I bought her. I don't, but I want to move them out so I don't have to drink them anymore.
That's exactly what this is about.
Drinking
That's
a lot of
this is, this is about making sure she's driving home the point for Molly. So she
Molly
doesn't
knows.
buy them again.
Molly knows. It was a really thoughtful gesture because I love those ginger seltzers from Trader Joe's like so much. And so she was like, "Hey, maybe these are good because maybe they were. They're not.
Not very.
Not very." So anyway, that's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking, Ben?
I got half a cup of ice water.
Oh,
Ice water.
That's a nice big glass.
Yeah, it's a Starbucks glass. I don't know when I got it.
Oh,
When.
I think I stole
I
it from
don't
my
think it's
parents' house.
important. Yeah.
Ben, have you been on Twitter much today?
A little bit. Why?
A little bit.
I just there's something that came up about kombucha on my Twitter today. I was wondering if at least one of you hadn't seen it.
I saw it.
I haven't seen anything about kombucha.
Okay, I'm going to read you a tweet from our good friend. I guess we should also mention the But Yeah podcast, which we've talked about before. This past week, I tweeted about it. I mean, WayTooBroad tweeted about it. But they completely stole our opening for the beginning of their show, and then also talked a lot about how much Ben likes ice water, which was hilarious. So
Yeah, it was funny.
which and unexpected. I didn't know they were going to do that. So a few days, I guess it was yesterday, Eamon from But Yeah tweeted this, and I want to hear your live reaction to it, Ben. He tweeted, "Kombucha is more of a cultural thing."
That's it?
Okay, very similar to my reaction. Then he replied to it and added me, and in all caps repeated himself, "Kombucha is more of a cultural thing." And I was like, what?
I get it.
You guys are so related.
Erin, did you get it right away?
Well, I unfortunately saw your tweet first before I saw his. And I felt sad about that because I wanted to know if I would have gotten it right away. I'm think
so
I
sorry.
would have. I don't think I would have.
I want to know from you as a pun master, Erin.
I want to know now.
If you don't get a pun until you've thought about it for 3 full minutes, does that make it a good pun or a bad pun?
I think it makes it a good pun.
Yeah, I agree.
Still. I don't think it takes away. Here's what I'll say. I don't think it takes away from its goodness. It's all about what's top of mind for you, right?
Right.
Like cultural. That's a great pun. That specifically is a really good pun. You aren't thinking about like culture,
right?
Like kombucha cultures, nearly as much as you're thinking about like culture.
Right.
So I think it's less about like the validity of the pun and more about whatever is top of mind for you.
Cool.
In my professional opinion. Shout out to, I listened to the beginning of that episode at least, and no offense, I'm just not a very thorough podcast listener, but I didn't know they were going to do our opening, and it was like, wait, what? It was funny.
It was actually coincidentally. Oh my god.
No, it's coincidence.
Coincidentally.
No, I'm sorry, it's coincidence. It's like two hard CHs.
Coincidentally.
No, coincidentally. Yep, that's it.
It was the first one I had actually asked Ian to listen to with me. So we were like sitting there listening to it together last weekend. And so when that came up, neither of us were expecting it at all. We were like, what?
Cool.
It was fun.
That's fun.
You should listen to it, Ben.
So is that a fan podcast now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we could. It's become,
Cool.
yeah. So we have a fan cast.
So speaking of podcasts, I want to talk about Spooked because I'm disappointed.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's air our feelings, right?
Last year, didn't they put out for like the whole week before Halloween and then the day of? Didn't they put out an episode?
Mm-hmm.
And this year, they didn't even put out an episode on Halloween.
They didn't, but they did last year announce that they were like ramping up to Halloween with an episode every day, but they didn't say that this year. But I felt like it was assumed.
They're spooked.
Yeah. Right.
That's what they do.
It's sad. Is it just, and I don't know if it's gone now or not, because they haven't put out an episode since October 25th.
Fuck.
Which is like more than a week ago. So I'm just like, I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I'm a little worried. Like, did something happen?
I know.
Oh, they're spooking you. It's meta.
25th. Let me see. That would have been, so it would have been a week as of yesterday. So I don't know. Anyway, just,
was it coming out when?
Feelings.
What was the release schedule before that? Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I felt like it was inconsistent. I never could get a handle on it. Do you know, Erin?
Yeah, it was random.
That's weird.
I have a spooky story for you guys.
Ooh. Is this a real life spook?
It is.
Oh, no.
But I didn't want to. Does anyone else have upfront stuff left?
Yes.
Okay, you go first.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the World Series of Baseball.
World Series
of Baseball, yes.
Because,
yes.
Well, there's a couple of things I wanted to highlight about it. Because it was a really cool World Series for me, and for a lot of reasons. One thing is that the third game was the longest World Series of Baseball game in history.
Wow.
By both time and innings.
Wow.
It was 18 innings long.
Which is 2 baseball games.
Which is literally 2 baseball games. And it was 7 hours and 20 minutes. And this part's fucking crazy. The entire, I think it's 1929 or maybe 1939 World Series took 7 hours and 9 minutes.
Wow, the whole thing.
The whole thing took 7 hours and 9 minutes. It was longer than an entire other World Series.
Wow. That's cool.
And as part of that game, the Red Sox had used 7 pitchers to get through 9 innings because we were just like switching out pitchers a lot and having some trouble. And the Dodgers had only used 3. So we didn't have like any bullpen going into extra innings. And what ended up happening was one of our pitchers named Nathan Eovaldi came out of the bullpen in relief and basically pitched a quality start. Like he pitched 6 innings and over 90 something pitches out of the bullpen, which is unheard of, and was pitching amazingly well the whole time. Basically the only mistake he had was the walk-off home run he gave up in the 18th inning. It was the only run he gave up, and it was one of the only hits he gave up. It was like legitimately one of the best pitching performances I've ever seen in my life, and it was I think like it's going to go down as like a legendary Boston sports moment and just sports moment in general, because what was so cool about it is like starting pitchers generally take a lot of time the day of and the few days before to like prep both mentally and like doing research on the hitters they're going to face, and like a bunch of different kinds of stretching and warm-ups that they do like leading up to a start. He had none of that, and also he was the second to last pitcher in the bullpen. So if he got in any trouble, there was only one guy who could come in and like and pitch in relief. Was normally when you start, you have a 12 people in the bullpen, or like more like 10 of pitchers that could come out and get you out of trouble, basically.
Because if you take a pitcher out of the game, you can't put him back in.
Yeah.
Is that the rule?
Yeah, exactly. And you take any player out, you can't.
You have
put
to
him
put
back
a
in.
bull in.
from the
from
pen.
the bullpen, yeah. So he had like no safety net, and just like, and it was cool because like his teammates afterwards and all the press conferences, like the guy who started the game, Rick Porcello, was like, that was the most amazing pitching performance I've ever seen, and by the end of it, I was legitimately in tears because like it was just like inspiring how it was just one of those things where like someone's like doing. Where they have to show up here, you know, like they have to do well. And he absolutely did. It was insane. And it was really sad they ended up losing that game. But then the next game, we were down 4-0 going into the 7th inning. And then Mitch Moreland, who's one of our first basemen, who's Kylie's favorite player because she likes to call him Mitch Moreland and then cheer him on and tell him to get more land every time he comes up. And then he hit a pinch hit 3-run home run in the 7th inning, which was incredible. It was our second. He got
more land.
He got all the land. Mm-hmm. Also, it was our second pinch hit 3-run home run of the series, which is crazy. Pinch hitting, I think I've mentioned this before, is when you like take someone out and have someone else hit for them. So it's like it was his first at bat of the game, right? And the 7th inning, and then Steve Pearce hit a home run in the next inning to tie the game, and we ended up scoring 9 runs over those 3 innings to win the game, coming back from 4-0.
Wow!
What's so cool about that is that the Dodgers, this entire season, when they had a lead of 4 runs or more at any point in the game, were 54-0. So they had never lost. And that was also, I think, like the latest comeback, maybe in World Series history or something like there was a lot of cool things about that game too. And then the next game we just won real hard, and Steve Pearce hit 2 fucking home runs. He ended up being the MVP, which is awesome because he's a 35. They're like these superstar baseball players. In any sport, there's like the superstars, and then they're like people that, you know, are kind of play 1 or 2 years with a team. They just like, and then move around, get traded. They're like not the huge names. And he's like 35. He's been playing for a long time. He's played for a lot of teams. He's played for every other team in the AL East, and he grew up a Red Sox fan.
Wow.
Got traded to the Red Sox mid-season from the Blue Jays and ends up being the World Series MVP. It's just like an amazing story. And Nathan Eovaldi also was a mid-season trade, and he ended up being like a big hero for us. It was just the people you don't like. It's never. Well, that's not true. That's not a lot of times the big names that like, but like the coolest stories are when it's like these like platoon guys that are just like there to do their job, end up like being the big heroes in the postseason. I love that shit.
Yeah, they're the hard workers.
Yeah, exactly.
They just go out there and, you know, make the plays.
They gotta make the plays to win the sport, and they understand that the best.
They know that the best. I thought pinch hitting was when you go out there with 2 baseball bats and you clap them together, hoping to capture the ball and pinch it out.
Into the stand.
Squirt it out into the stand. So that's why I thought it was so impressive.
That's pincer hitting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's clapper. Like, get it in the old clapper.
Yeah. They call it clapping. in the biz.
Yeah. I'm like afraid to listen to the latest episode of Three Swings because I know that Rhea Butcher is like not going to be happy that the Red Sox won.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. And Paul F. Tompkins is like, thanks for a great season of baseball, Dodgers, and congratulations to whoever won the World Series.
He was at the 18 inning game and he was like live tweeting during it. It was so fucking funny. The last episode of Three Sings, Rhea Butcher was definitely upset, but they were a very good sport about it and congratulated the Red Sox on winning.
Probably winning before they... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The last one. Well, because they already kind of were congratulating them last time, like after 3 games.
Yeah, because the Dodgers manager definitely made some mistakes during that World Series.
Are people like, he did it on purpose because he's a beloved figure in the Red Sox community?
No, I don't think so.
That wasn't a joke. I know that's stupid.
Well,
but
no, that's a thing that because Derek Jeter is part owner of the Miami Marlins now, and there is this big controversy because their like big star player was Giancarlo Stanton, who's like this 6'7" power hitter. You
meant like literally big.
Yeah, in both ways, like big and big for like their best player.
That was a joke.
And then he got I think he was a free agent and he signed with the Yankees, or he got traded to the Yankees. Very famously, Derek Jeter's like former team, obviously. And there's people who are think that he like did it as either he's a really bad owner by getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton, or he did it to just like make the Yankees better. There's conspiracies.
Gotcha, yeah.
WTF, mate. That
Yeah.
guy. All right, can I tell you guys my scary story?
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Red Sox.
Congratulations,
Congratulations to Red Sox. Very congratulations to Ben.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I was at Walmart on, I think it was the 30th.
This is already
This
spooky.
is a scary story. Oh!
Great job, guys. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I was leaving. I was walking to my car, and there was this woman walking in front of me. And at first, I wasn't paying much attention to her, but she was walking pretty slowly. And as I was walking behind her, she kept on walking more and more slowly. And she was wearing like mostly black, and it was like dark out. So
Vampire.
I started to get this
Zombie
sense of like, oh, and then the other thing was she was kind of like stumbling sometimes, or like losing
zombie.
her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing, she was quietly moaning brain.
The other thing, her eyeball was falling out of her face.
Well, I couldn't see her face, Ben. I was walking behind her.
Yeah, she turned. I was there.
She was walking in front of me. She was walking kind of slow. She was sort of like shambling. Definitely is the wrong word, but she was not walking in a straight line, we'll say. And she was like the way that she was walking, it felt like she was trying to allow me to catch up to her, or just like to be more aware of what I was doing. And so by the time that I got to my car, I like had a pretty close eye on her, and she was walking really slowly, like had pretty much stopped when she realized I was turning. So she wandered her way over, like there was a big SUV next to me. She wandered her way over to the far corner of the SUV, and then I saw her turn back and look at me as I was walking towards my door, like, and her eyeball was falling out. No, I'm just like,
oh my god. Oh my god, you got me. Oh,
You said it so casually.
I know. My heart jumped a little bit. Like in horror. Like just because I'm like, oh god.
I've never sold a scary line like that in my life, and it was so stupid. Okay,
thank you.
No. So she looked back at me. I could see her. Like, we pretty much made eye contact through the windows of this truck, and I was like, there's no way I'm unlocking my car right now. Like, I'm gonna go walk back towards the store, because I didn't know like what she wanted. But then, like, as I was moving back towards the store, she was kind of like walking around that car. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe she's going to get into that car. Maybe she's suspicious of me. Maybe she's just like really, really drunk. That's probably what it was. Or something. I think she was on something. But I started to walk back towards the store, and then she came back around the other side of the car next to mine, and then started walking along between like my car's passenger side and the car next to me on the other side. So we were like basically looking at each other from the back passenger side corner of my car is where she was, and I was like standing in front of my car on the driver's side, and she started walking towards me, and then we like made eye contact, and like we're like, my car's short, so we're like now looking directly at each other. So finally I was like, I could tell that I was starting to suspect that she was like just kind of disoriented. So I asked her if she was okay. And this was also weird because I said, "Hi, are you okay?" And she went, "I'm fine. Thank you." And then she gave me a big smile.
And then she did a what?
She gave me a big smile.
Oh.
And it was actually like it was a comforting smile compared to everything else that I had thought about her. But "I'm fine" was like really weird. Like the way she said it. Then after we had that interaction, she just started wandering back towards the store. So she like went away from me, and I was able to get into my car and leave. So that was like the real interaction. And then
that's so weird.
It was really weird. And I sort of feel like I should have at least like called the store to tell them that she was in the parking lot, because I kind of feel like at the very like best, like worst case scenario, she was trying to like hop in the back of someone's car when they unlocked it, and best case scenario, she probably was like not like all there because of one thing or another. What
would be the end game of hopping into someone's car?
Like
to steal something?
Them? Yeah. If she had like a knife or something? Oh, okay. Or a gun?
Or she just bought a gun at Walmart?
Yeah, you can. That is true. So then I went home, and you guys have both been to my house now, but for the many people who may be listening to this who haven't, my street's really dark.
The millions of people listening to this who don't know my house.
My street's really dark, and it's very quiet. So a lot of times, especially this time of year, when I get out of my car, I get a little bit spooked. Usually it's about zombies. But it happened to me even the morning after Halloween. I saw someone just like slowly walking from their house down their driveway, and then I lost sight of them, and I was terrified they were shambling their way over to me. Like, this is just a thing that happens to me. But this particular night, I imagined that she was going to come walking from behind the bushes.
Yeah.
And it really, really, really freaked me out. And then when I told Ian about that, he was like, yeah, what if she came out and she was just like smiling really big? You could see all of her teeth. Her eyes were really wide. And she was just asking, "Are you okay?"
Oh, God.
Or she was like, "Thank you." Oh, that's creepy. Oh.
Yeah. So that was weird.
I don't like that.
That's the whole story.
That's spooked. We're spooked now.
I'm glad.
We did. No, I mean, we're the podcast spooked now.
Oh, great.
We're picking up their slack for not posting on Halloween.
I mean, we didn't post on Halloween, so.
Yeah.
That's a freaking spook scare.
Thanks. So, I'm first this week. I don't know if we're ready to
So
pop in.
Go then.
Let's pop in.
Let's pop it.
Wait, I have one more question about this woman.
Okay.
Was she drinking a pint of chocolate milk?
No, I didn't see any beverages around.
Seems
her.
like the kind of person that
fine.
would drink gin and chocolate milk in the same sitting, though.
Okay,
I don't
they're
know.
not in the same cup. I told you, I don't want you up in my mentions.
I said in the same sitting.
Yeah, that's true. I am sitting. I finished my pint of chocolate milk. I'm moving on to my gin beverage.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. At least you're drinking them independently of each other. I thought you were saying you were going to
that
be
much
taking
better,
a sip
though?
and then a sip. It's a lot better.
No,
actually.
I'm drinking one to completion and then drinking the other to completion.
Completion.
Do we not like that word?
Or I'm
The phrase?
giving each of my drinks a happy ending before I move on to the next.
Completion. I don't know what you guys are referring to. Yeah, I'm
I
finishing
can't
my
believe
drinks.
you would give a shit about describing women as females, but you are over here talking about drinking things to completion.
Yeah, I usually finish my drinks. I don't know what you guys are inferring.
Erin's fucking her drink.
I'm fucking drinking it. What are you guys talking about?
All right, so let me tell you guys what I've been obsessed with. This is probably not necessarily a recommendation, but it's just my truth. It's what I've been living
Live your
the
truth.
last week or so. I don't remember how this got started, but someone got me thinking about alternate reality games.
That was me.
What?
That was me.
How'd you do that?
I didn't. I'm lying. Caught me right away.
I caught you, yeah.
We talked about alternate realities maybe last week, though.
It could have been this podcast. It
was me. That's what I just said.
It could have been any number of things. I truly can't remember at this point. But it got me sort of wondering, because I have always said, as you guys know, my brain likes the feeling of conspiracies, but I don't like to be a nutball.
I love that description.
So, fizzy good make feel nice is basically how I feel about conspiracies. And so I realized that like ARGs are actually like, if I had the time for them, which I don't, ARGs would be like the perfect thing for me, because you just like, you know, it's not real going in. Oh, I know what it was. I was listening to a podcast about the very first like ARG and how it was really, it ended up like getting way out of hand because the internet was brand new and people didn't understand that this stuff wasn't real yet, and the boundaries were really fuzzy, and it was hard to like people just started thinking it was real, and it became like a real conspiracy theory. So that was interesting. Not Every Little Thing. What's the other one? Dakota Ring. It was the most recent episode of Dakota Ring that got me thinking about this. Anyway, I was like, ARGs are really cool, but I have nowhere near the time that it takes to get into an ARG, because most of them, you know, they you have to dig through a lot of kind of hours of videos or audio or text or all three to really like and do some analysis.
Erin is raising her
really
hand.
Figure out, huh?
Erin has been raising her hand patiently this whole time.
I haven't been looking. What's up, Erin?
What? Can you please define an ARG? What the fuck
I
is
did
that?
right at the beginning. Alternate reality game.
Yeah, but what is
you
it?
gave the acronym.
You gave the
didn't give
acronym.
any explanation
What the
of
fuck is it?
whatsoever.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's basically. All right. Let me see if I can find the textbook definition for you. Let me Google this for you.
Well, is it a video game? Is it like a LARP? Is it like a
It's more like a LARP than a video game.
See, I don't know.
Whoa! Oh my god! Oh
Are
my
you
god!
okay?
Oh my god!
That? What was that?
It was my Google. Something triggered my Google. Oh, because I said, let me Google it for you. That's why. Oh my god, that scared me so much.
That's what you deserve.
Are you okay?
At me for not knowing your little thing.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't know what that was or where it was coming from.
It was the woman. What did it say? What did Google say to you?
Well, Google thought I said for you. And so she said, really? For me? That was all she said.
That's freaky.
God.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
Yikes.
Are you
Oh,
okay? That would have been freaky.
Oh, it was so loud. I could still feel it in my stomach.
Oh.
Okay, an alternate reality game is an interactive, networked narrative that uses the real world as a platform and employs transmedia storytelling to deliver a story that may be altered by players' ideas or actions. Does that help you?
Do you like go in a chat room and chat? Well, like how do you play it?
It varies.
Can I give you an example of one?
Yeah.
This was a small one for the game Overwatch.
Okay.
When they were announcing a new hero named Sombra, who was like a hacker, and they basically, like months before she was released, they started like kind of dropping little hints into other cinematics and other like content for Overwatch, and people would have to like dig through and like figure out the decode the hints and then kind of based on how much people figured out, they would like release more and more until eventually they announced that like the whole idea was it was like somber hacking and like kind of toying with the community. It was a really like fun character build up thing.
A lot of times it's like that. It's like there'll be a bunch of breadcrumbs that are dropped in whatever medium is preferred. So for this, it was a video game, but it could be, you know, a web series or whatever. They'll just be like something that looks weird and out of place every once in a while. And maybe it doesn't really like register with you, but if you put it all together, it's a puzzle. And if you solve the puzzle, then you can get to the next step in the game, you know? And like sometimes it involves like actual like real world dead drops. Like sometimes the clue will be like coordinates, and someone can go to those coordinates and find something that they can then like share with the rest of the people following along. And, you know, it also becomes like very cooperative sometimes because people will work to solve the puzzles together. There was a really famous one in like 2008 or so, like when YouTube was pretty new, called Lonely Girl 15.
I remember.
Guys remember that?
That sounds familiar.
That was the only one that I've ever really followed,
Didn't
like
that
while
get,
it was happening.
I feel like there was some controversy with that. Didn't something get like?
Well, I think it kind of fizzled out. I don't really know, but it how I remember it is. When I became aware of it was when there started being reports of people like discovering that it definitely wasn't real, because it was actually one of those situations, because YouTube was so new, where people weren't really understanding, or they didn't make it clear, and often they don't make it clear that it's not real. But sometimes they'll also hint that it's not real, but that's kind of like part of the nature of an ARG and why it can get so complicated, is that you're never really supposed to acknowledge the fact that it's not real. You know, there are ARGs that I've now, or like web series that sort of have ARG elements that I've now kind of been walked through because of my obsession that I haven't even actually gotten to yet. And they have a Twitter, and they have like multiple accounts associated with them, and like several actors and stuff. So there's this whole little like universe that they build in there, and no one will ever acknowledge that it's not real, or they very much try not to, unless there's like some really terrible accident that happens from it, which I can't imagine has never happened. But so yeah, with Lonely Girl 15, it was like at first it seemed like it was just like a regular like YouTube vlogger, and she was just like a cute girl who was actually 16, named Bree. And then like over time you started to realize that her parents might be in some kind of cult, and then like you know, it did start to incorporate like more characters and more accounts and stuff, and more like going out in the world rather than just in her bedroom, and it just like kind of grew from there.
I remember the controversy. You following that.
Yeah,
that's how I know about it, because when it was happening, we lived together still.
Yes, right. But this is the thing; it took forever, because there are so many videos, and there are so many things you have to read just to understand what's going on in the videos. And I had that kind of time then. I don't have that kind of time now. So first, what I looked for were podcasts that sort of just talked about different ARGs, like maybe could talk me through them, so I could kind of like understand what went on with it without having to actually like dig, like research it myself. And there were not really any. But then I realized that YouTube is where a lot of these things like start. So there probably are a lot of things like that on there. And I found a few YouTube channels where they talk about like all kinds of creepy or mysterious like web content, including ARGs, but also including just like web series that are spooky for various reasons, or like online mysteries that they try to explain, and all these things. So I ended up just like obsessively watching these videos. I would put them on my phone while I was at work, and just like leave the phone face down and just listen to them. And I've been doing that almost exclusively instead of listening to podcasts or music, like for a week. And it's fucked me up a little bit. Like, that's why I'm saying like I don't necessarily recommend this.
Like, it's fucked you up how?
Like, it's made me more creeped out by things. Like, I don't think I would have maybe reacted to that woman the way I did if I hadn't been so obsessively listening to this stuff. And it's just kind of like, I've been worried that I would have nightmares, but I haven't had any. But there's definitely stuff in there that could give you nightmares. And the thing I don't like about these YouTube channels is that, it's inconsistent how truly freaky the content is, but I also do think that I have it has a layer of removal to it that actually makes it okay for me, especially when I'm not watching it. Like a lot of the things that they talk about and analyze, I probably wouldn't be able to actually deal with watching them because they can get really dark. But hearing someone describing what's happening in them and talking about why they think it's happening and what they think the moral of the story is fine for me. You know, it's not that intense most of the time. So that's been my obsession is sort of like these YouTube channels that talk about alternate reality games and basically like horror web series of various types. And some of them are really, really, really interesting, and some of them are a waste of time. But at least I'm not wasting, 20 hours. I'm just wasting like 30 minutes. So I'll tell you a few of the names of the channels in case anyone's interested. Just
the interesting ones.
Yeah, well, so Night Minds is a good channel. He's also the person that runs that channel, does a really good job about describing everything. So if you are the kind of person who doesn't look much at videos when you're watching them or can't, like me, then he's a good one to listen to. And he does all kinds of things. But one thing I do like, most of these people do like organize their videos into playlists, and they have pretty decent explanations for what the playlists are, but they don't have like content warnings for certain types of things. So I just recommend that you read the descriptions, or like if you are easily creeped out like Erin, I wouldn't necessarily maybe I could send you some videos that I really like, but I wouldn't really recommend that you go browsing on these because some of the thumbnails even kind of freak me out.
Yeah.
There's another one called ReignBot, REIGN bot, who is a woman, and she does some pretty cool explainer videos as well of a lot of different kinds of things. And I just can't remember. Oh, Nightmare Expo is another one, but I don't like his stuff as much as these other two. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been weird. It's been the strange experience being in the office, listening to these weird, creepy stories being laid out before me. But people are really creative.
What a thematic time too for Halloween.
Yeah, which I said I was going to stop watching them after Halloween, but I haven't.
You are a fucking liar to yourself.
I am to myself, absolutely.
You are to yourself. Ooh, that chocolate milk's making me sleepy in my belly.
Okay. Well, Erin, would you like to go now? Would you
Good
like to pop in?
man.
Thank you.
Maybe you could send me some non-scary ones.
Yeah, I will.
As long as you're sure.
Yeah, there's one called "This House Has People in It." Let me think about it.
That sounds creepy.
It's not creepy, but there's this one thing that's kind of creepy. So let me think about it.
Okay. Well,
what's yours, Erin?
Popping in?
Yeah, pop in.
Okay. Well, my obsession this week has been storytelling.
Woo.
So, oops.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
It was kind of a coincidence because I was in my house and I thought about something and I was like, oh man, that would make a good story. So in my area, there is in my area, in the Raleigh-Durham area where I live, there's a storytelling company, like nonprofit, called the Monty, which is kind of like the Moth is the closest thing people have heard.
But
Moth
and it's T.
Yeah. I say the closest thing, but they're pretty much like the same exact thing. They're like, they do story slams, competitive story slams, and also curated storytelling events.
Nice.
So anyway, I've told some stories at the Monty before. I've won a storytelling competition like 4 years ago. And the way these competitions work is if you win the one competition, you go on to the Grand Slam, which is usually later in the year. And so I thought of a story. I was like, oh man, that would make a good Monty story. And then I like looked for the next Story Slam, and it was coming up like in the next week, and the topic was exactly related to my story. So I signed up to be a storyteller. So basically, this kind of past the beginning of the week and kind of the end of last week since we spoke, I've been like working on my story, and like, you know, it's you have a 5-minute limit, and so just like crafting my story perfectly. And so I told it at the Monty on Tuesday night, and I won the storytelling competition. So
congratulations.
That was really fun. Thank you. I was so delighted. It was so fun, and it was great because I brought it sold out pretty quickly, and I brought a new friend who's a coworker of mine, and kind of last minute I was able to get him a ticket, and
nice.
It was his first. What did you say?
I said nice.
Oh, it's Como Cam.
Como
Cameo.
Yeah.
Is he got like one paw like right on a book?
He does. He's a learned boy.
Just resting upon a book. So I was able to bring him a new coworker, and it was his first time at the Monty, and he had a great time. And then he was just like absolutely delighted that I won. He was like, "You won!" Like he was like, I was like, "Don't act so surprised." But that was really nice. So I thought the theme was fear, and I thought I would just tell the story as my obsession.
Tell us the story.
Okay. So I'll just tell it. So the thing with the Monty, it's like obviously not. You don't tell a story like you would sit down and tell a story with friends, because it's like a performative piece, which makes it a little weird to like tell people one-on-one. Like today at lunch, like we have a remote developer team who's visiting in town, and they were like, tell us your story. And so I was like, this is kind of awkward to like perform the story for people. So just keep that in mind, that's a little awkward, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense like on a stage.
Would you rather while you do it that we like don't interrupt at all? Since you like practice it and stuff?
Yeah, I think that might be easiest to like keep the flow of it.
Okay.
You have heard this story before. You two have. I think I might have told it on pod.
Okay.
I'll just tell it again. So my wife and I have a dog named Henry, and he's a sweet boy, but he has an issue. When he was a puppy, he was home alone, and he was in his crate, and the crate was in front of a window that was kicked in by some burglars who then entered our home, trashed our house, and stole our stuff. And so ever since then, Henry's been really afraid of people who are coming into our home who he doesn't know, and he's very triggered by them and has acted aggressively towards them. And so this is, of course, like super understandable, but not workable for our lives. So we took to the internet to help us solve our dog problem. So the internet has served us very well in the past with our past dog problems. For instance, when we got a Roomba for the first time, and it was on its maiden vacuum journey, Henry was following it around the house barking at it, and we asked the internet, what do you do when your dog is following your vacuum cleaner around barking at it? And the internet by and large told us to yell at the Roomba while your dog is watching, and it'll solve all your problems. And it totally did. Henry is absolutely not afraid of the Roomba anymore. In fact, sometimes it bumps into him and he doesn't even notice because he's not paying attention. So that worked so well that our sage internet advice was that it probably wasn't the person or the stranger, it was their entrance. So our solution for Henry's door problem is that Henry isn't home when somebody new comes over. And then once Henry arrives after them, he's totally happy to see them. So we have our little workaround, and it works, but we hate this thing about him. We hate the stress it causes our lives. We hate the hurt it's caused others. We hate the underlying trauma that it indicates. But, you know, Molly and I are two women who live in a house by ourselves, and there are nights when I'm lying in bed and I can't quite sleep and I'm in the dark and I'm letting my mind wander and I'm listening to the creaks and the cracks of the house shifting and the heater kicking on. When I think about like how terrible it would be if somebody were to come into our house while we were home with the intention to hurt us, and how helpless we would be against that, and just how terrible that would be. And on those nights, I take a little bit of guilty comfort knowing that somewhere under my bed is a baseball bat, and under my covers is a dog who I know for a fact will fuck somebody up if they try to. So there's this book by the late Michelle McNamara. It's called I'll Be Gone in the Dark. We know it well. It's about a real-life serial killer, and his whole thing was he would come into your house in the middle of the night. No, he would come into your house in the middle of the day, hang out until the middle of the night, wake you up from your slumber, do terrible things to you, and then kill you. And we listened to this audiobook for like 6 hours on the way home from a road trip one time. And that night, I don't know why, it was one of those nights where I was lying in bed, couldn't quite sleep, lying in the dark, listening to the creaks and cracks of the house shifting and the heater kicking on, letting my mind wander to dark places, thinking about, like, those are real people, that really happened, and that was really terrible, and that, like, if that happened to us, there would be so little that we could do. I eventually did fall asleep that night, but then I woke up in the middle of the night because someone was moving around downstairs. It wasn't the creaks and the cracks of the house shifting. It wasn't the heater kicking on. Someone was moving around downstairs, and I know someone was moving around downstairs because Henry was next to me and his hackles were raised and he was growling. I go to turn on the light and it doesn't turn on. I go to reach for my glasses and I can't find them in the dark. I'm hanging over the side of my bed, reaching frantically for a baseball bat that has rolled far away out of my reach. The sounds are moving closer to the bottom of the stairs. Henry is starting to bark. Molly grabs my shoulder and says, "Erin, it's the Roomba." So the power had gone out, and the Roomba, sensing it was off its dock, decided it was time to get to work and started vacuuming, and it was just scooting around downstairs. So it was a false alarm that time, but I still sleep with a baseball bat somewhere under my covers and an aggressive dog. No, somewhere under my bed and an aggressive dog under my covers. So don't fuck with us. And scene.
That was good.
Thanks.
Even though I knew that was the story, I still felt suspense.
Me too. I felt
the whole
scared.
room was like, I heard somebody being like, "Oh," like when I was like, the light part when I was like, and it didn't turn. I heard somebody be like, "Oh."
That's the thing. That is a really good story because that's exactly it. Like your mind is racing, trying to think of what it could possibly be as you're telling the story. And it's like coming up empty unless you're an insightful person like Molly.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Molly's just very practical. She's like, I know that sound. She's not thinking about it in the context of like, she's like, yeah, I just know what that sound is.
Right.
It's a very specific sound of the Roomba.
Awesome.
So the challenge was to bring up a Roomba in the story without tying it to the end in any way. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You couldn't just like hit with the punchline. It was a Roomba, and then people would be like, "What's that again?" You know, like, having that like in mind, and then it was that was fun. So I spent a lot of time like in the car or in the shower, like workshopping it this week, and I love that. I just have a really fun time kind of putting that together.
Yeah, it's great. No, you did a very good job.
Thanks.
I mean, the people have spoken on it already, I guess, but I agree with them.
Thank you. Thanks. Cool, that's my session.
Awesome. Congratulations. When's the Grand Slam?
It's in April. So the Grand Slam will be an entirely new theme. So I'll have to like develop another 5-minute story around a new theme, and I'll be competing with that story.
I actually so admire that skill. I'm curious to see what you'll do with a prompt that you don't already have a sort of a story in mind for. Because whenever I listen to The Moth, I'm always like, I know that, like, some of these people, like, they have stories that are more interesting than anything that's ever happened to me. But some of them are just telling stories that are, like, from life, but they're telling them well, and they're remembering the right things. And I don't feel like that's a skill that I've honed, like, knowing what's going to make a good story, you know, even if it's not the most exciting thing that's ever happened to anybody.
Yeah, that's totally an observation I've had, like, going to these storytelling events. It's like, exactly that. Some people just have, like, incredible events, but then some people, like, you're done and you're like, that was a great story. You're like, what was that about? Like, exactly. Like, that was, like, a great story, but it was, you know, so it's, like, very much the skill of, like, and some things I feel like I have some things that I think are interesting that I've never quite put into a story that anybody has found compelling. And it's just, like, I know it's possible, and it's all about, like, and I feel like that could have happened to me, and I could have found a completely boring way to tell it, or something like that, you know? So it's all about, that gives me comfort thinking about April. It's like, it's more, I feel like it's 90% like
how you tell
it, and 10% theme.
Agree.
And you can kind of, like, bend it, you know, in the right
like
way.
Beckham.
I think. Yeah. I think that's going to be the theme, the movie Bend It Like Beckham. But 90%. I'm ready.
90% the how you tell it, and it's 10% how you bend it like Beckham.
Exactly.
So.
That's the takeaway. And I can send you for Twitter things for this episode. There is a video from the last Grand Slam that I competed in, so we can include that. That one is a story that I was really proud of, and I came in second place in the Grand Slam by like 1/10 of a point. I was so angry.
Was that the one about your sister?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I want that. Yeah, send me that link, please.
Have you seen this one, Hannah? It's about cleavage.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Cool. Well, we'll send it.
You'll see it. Yeah.
We'll send it to you.
Hell yeah.
We'll bend it to you like Beckham.
Send it to you like Seckham.
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Send it like Steph.
Send it like Stefan.
Why can't it just be whoever's the best at it? Stephanie's the best at sending things.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Why are we beating around the goddamn bush?
I'm sorry. You're right.
I have to interject between Erin's obsession, Ben's obsession, if that's okay.
Sure. Pop in.
A super quick story that's also Halloween related, but in a more like lighthearted way than my last story. So I think I might have mentioned before on here that I have one cat who will not tolerate anything being like attached to her body as far as like costumes or collars or anything like that. And I have another cat, Handsome Jack, who he doesn't love to wear everything, but he's like usually like adjusts very quickly to being like kind of dressed up. I don't do this a lot, but I have
sounds like you might.
One time I had a St. Patrick's Day little like tie for him. It was a Christmas tie, and he wore that with a plum. He was totally fine with that. And and then I have this other thing that's a little Halloween ruffle. It's like orange and black, and it's stretchy, and you just put it around his neck, and he kind of like wears it like a second mane.
I don't think you had to describe it past Halloween ruffle. I feel like that was
we got it
enough.
Gosh, all right. So I found this Halloween ruffle just in time for Halloween, like a week and a half ago maybe, and I was like, oh, let's see if he still likes this, and I put it on him, and I just like decided to see how long it would last.
It was when I was in town.
Oh, okay. And he wore it overnight, right? He wore it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he did. And then even more recently, like in the last week or so, I did it again. I just put it on him to see how long it would last, and he wore it for 3 days straight.
Wow.
Oh my
God. He just didn't take it off. I watched him eat in it, groom in it. Like, I watched him sleep, obviously, in it. Like, he just didn't notice it. He didn't care. It didn't get in his way. Like, it was fine. And then at one point after those 3 days, I went to take it off of him. When I took it off, he like grabbed at it while I was taking it off his neck. And I thought maybe like, oh, maybe when it's not on him, he thinks it's like a toy. But then I started trying to play with him with it, and he just started nuzzling it a lot.
Oh my God.
So I put it on the floor. He never played with it like a toy. So it kind of felt like he was trying to get it back, right? So
Yeah.
So every time I put it in front of his face, he nuzzles it. And then if you put it on him, he nuzzles you a bunch. So then on Halloween, I actually forgot to put it on him all day. He wasn't wearing it on Halloween. And we went to bed. And like about maybe 10 or 20 minutes after we went to bed, Jack was in the living room and he started meowing really loud, which is not unusual for him, but it wasn't a normal meow. And he meowed this non-normal meow all the way over to the bedroom. And then he sat in the doorway and stared at me and meowed and meowed and meowed insistently until I finally got up because I thought something was like wrong. And he basically led me over to where this ruffle was.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was like, I don't know what's going on, but like, you seem okay. Like, you seem happy. Let me try this. So I put the color on him and he made not another sound. And he came back to bed with me and laid down and fell asleep right away.
That's fucking awesome.
He loves his ruffle.
He loves it. He just wants to wear it all the time.
I love
Is he wearing it right now?
Not right now. He didn't ask for it last night. But I don't want him to wear it all the time. If he needs to wear it all the time, then I'm gonna have to get him more colors because it's not even that flattering on him, honestly.
Can we just break down that sentence? If he needs to wear it all the time, we gotta get other ones because that's not really that flattering. That's just, does he leave the house?
No.
Does he have places to be?
I have an Instagram to maintain.
My God, this is so sweet.
Yeah.
He just wants to be in his little ruffle.
Yeah, he just
That's
wants
amazing.
to have his
He
ruffle
likes it. He feels pretty in
on.
it.
Yeah, I know. I love
What if
it.
he doesn't like other colors, Hannah?
That's okay. He can live his truth. He can wear whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So
That's
but,
really nice.
yeah, he's a good boy.
What a good communicator he is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Baby Ben, you're
All
the
right.
last one.
I'm popping in and popping right back out.
Let's pop and pop out.
Nothing. Surprised, it's a Halloween episode, in the mini Halloween episode. We're going to talk
Mini
about
Halloween
Halloween
ep.
stuff.
Yeah, that was a bait and switch. It was a bend and switch.
Halloween
That
ep.
was a bend and switch to completion. All right. So what are we doing?
Okay. We're going to talk about dolls and clowns, as promised. Or did we
Dolls
did we ever
versus
say that
clowns.
actually on,
No.
on the podcast? We've talked about
Yeah.
it so much. I feel like we've promised
I
it.
think we did.
We have,
I
we
think
have.
We did.
We have. We've talked about it on the podcast. And then we also said last week that we were going to do a Halloween ep this week, which we pretty much did. We've talked about Halloween and
That's
creepy
true.
things a lot. But we did not come back to Dolls and Clowns.
Kylie and
now
I made Halloween cupcakes.
I
Oh.
They were
saw
good.
those.
We made
Did you
some
go to a
pumpkin shaped
party?
ones.
Yo, those
What?
are nice.
What'd
Did you
say,
bring
Hannah?
them to a party or something?
Nope. We just ate them.
Nice.
Sounds like you did have a party. Am I right?
Am I right?
Mhm.
Am I right?
Am I
Am I
right?
fucking right?
Someone tell me if I'm right.
You're right.
Uh,
All right. So, dolls are scary or creepier than clowns.
Disagree.
hey, Ben, why are you so afraid of clowns?
Because of you, Erin. Because you've traumatized me.
Would
Because
you
as it's been established and exemplified by your obsession, you're a great storyteller. Have been for a long time. And when we were kids, you told me and our younger, like other cousins around my age, like my brother and your siblings, a very scary story about a evil clown that lived in our grandmother's attic which the door to was right next to where I slept when we had Thanksgiving there, which was really the kicker in all of it. Because like Lucas and I slept on sleeping bags on the ground, literally next to that door. And I just couldn't. And then fucking the other room we always slept in that house had the creepy clown like light fixture on the ceiling. So you went to bed looking at the creepy clown. And I think what it is for me, it's kind of a similar thing for like zombies versus ghosts, where for me, zombies are more scary because it's like more realistic, because I don't believe in ghosts, and so it's more realistic to me that like zombies could happen. And I'm generally more of like a scared of things that can actually hurt me kind of person. And there are people that actually choose to be clowns. And that in and of itself is kind of scary to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, why the fuck would you want to do that? Does any child actually like clowns?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? Do they?
They, not recently, and not when clowns first like started to exist. Like they kind of have.
So like, they had a sweet spot like 50 years ago?
They really did. There was like a famous clown, what was his name?
Bubbles? Giggles?
Something like that. And
Triggles?
He was really famous, and he was franchised. Like there were like
Bozo.
Bozo. Yeah.
Bozo.
There were Bozos all over the country. But they were all different, you know, serial killers. So and he had a show. So then at that time there were definitely kids that really were into clowns, and specifically Bozo. And I know of people in my social circles that are part of like clown troops, and when I look at those people with their troops, they don't scare me. I think there is a way to be a clown and not be creepy, but I think it's hard, you know?
I just can't. Clowns are just one of those things for me. I have very few things that like will keep me from watching like a piece of media or from like people. I'm like so scared. It's not even that I'm like scared of them. It's just the way any clown makes me feel is so uncomfortable and unnerving that I just have trouble dealing with it.
They creep you the fuck out.
Basically, yeah. And like to this day, I have a lot of like, I really want to see it, but I haven't watched it because I know it's going to be tough for me to get through the Pennywise parts.
So you haven't watched it because you know it's going to be tough for you?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do this. I knew we were going to do it, so I watched it. I have a question. Are you afraid of like mostly like creeped out clowns, like of horror genre, or like any old clown, even if it's not like being terrorizing?
I don't think there's a difference. Yeah, it's any clown. You know, like you remember? I think it was last year, a couple years ago, when like randomly you started hearing news reports from everywhere about like people dressing up as clowns and just like going around being creepy all over the country.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Erin?
Yeah.
That fucking freaked me out. That like freaked me out more than hearing about a serial killer in my city or something.
Wow.
Like that, because like, well, yeah. That's not. I don't know if that's true. So I've never had that comparison, but
freaked you out more than a Roomba.
But I mean, honestly, like, it's a true fact of my life is that as a large white male, if I ever hear about like a murderer or something, 9 times out of 10 it's a male targeting females.
Yeah.
And like it genuinely is not like I never had to think about protecting myself when walking around at night. And I feel like it's that same kind of thing where I wouldn't default to being that scared of that, because I would more default to, well, the chances of it happening to me are so low.
Right.
But which makes, and it gets back to that like scared of what can actually hurt me thing. Which doesn't really make sense for a bunch of people dressing up as clowns. Well, you know what? There were so many of them, and what was their goal?
Other than insanity.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
I have a cue. I'm another cue.
Yeah.
It's Q&A time with Ben.
Oh, okay.
Do you think my story about the evil clowns single-handedly caused this fear, or do you think this was like a predisposition that... Oh, Hannah? Question from Hannah. Fielding a question from the audience. You there in the headband.
I have a cue for both of you, because I don't know which one is more likely to know this, but we keep speaking of this story. I think we've even spoken of this story before. But do either of you remember the specifics of the story?
Ben, to you?
I remember the clown had metal teeth for eating children. And I remember the scariest part was always... And I'll never do it justice because I can't tell stories as well as Erin can or could at that age even. The scariest part was at the end when, there was a whole part where, like, you told a story about a former cousin of ours who got eaten by this clown. And then the part at the end was where you went down and told Mimi, who was what we called our grandmother, that something had happened. Because, like, the story was you guys witnessed this thing attack her.
Yeah.
And then you, like, went down and said, like, whoever, like, what the fuck, I don't, give me a female name.
Annie.
Annie. Yeah, like, Annie got attacked by the clown in the attic or whatever, and she just turned to him as, like, who's Annie? And that part freaked me the fuck out, because I was like, is Mimi in on it with the clown? Like, is that why she has the clown light fixture in the bedroom downstairs?
That's so great. You had a whole little conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
That was a story. That was a scary story. So at okay, I would like to just, like, not defend myself, but some context is that at Thanksgiving we would routinely all gather together, all the cousins, and try to pick, like, the creepiest room, or most likely the room where we wouldn't get yelled at, and tell each other scary stories. So I wasn't, like, going out of my way.
And I remember it was in the room that I slept in.
Yeah.
The like bedroom upstairs that we did that.
We did that, yep. And that was a frequent for many years. I have another story, and the punchline is that something happens to our cousin, Annie, or whoever it is, and then I go tell Mimi, and I'm like, something happened to Annie, and she's like, who's Annie? That's like that's like my go-to. You know? Because that, really, like, seals it. Oh, I'm getting creeped out right now. I'm like, I made that up, and I'm like, who?
It's really just a commentary on how many cousins we have and how nobody can keep them straight. Yeah.
My grandmother had 18, 19 grandchildren.
Yeah. And to answer your larger question, Erin, I don't know how much of, if that was, like, the moment or not, but it was definitely one of the big ones from my childhood that made me frightened of clowns. Because I as a kid, I was always especially scared. I mean, everyone is, but I was, like, always especially scared of someone, like, killing me in my sleep, you know? I remember when I was a kid, I was watching this, like, documentary with my mom or something about these serial killers who would, like, it was a couple who would, like, go to someone's house and, like, work their way in by pretending they were, like, an old friend that they forgot. And then they would, like, kill them. And we lived in Florida at the time, and it was, like, these serial killers were, like, they, like, did this in Florida, I think. And then, but they had gotten arrested, like, 10 years or whatever. Like, this all happened, like, 10 or 15 years before the events when the documentary was happening.
We were in Florida. You must have been young.
It still freaked me the fuck out. And for a long time, I, like, refused to shower alone. Like, shower be in the bathroom alone, because our bathroom had a door to the outside. And I was scared of those people coming in and killing me.
Oh, that's so sad.
I was also, like, 5, so...
Why did she let you watch that?
Child. Huh?
Why did she let you watch that?
Yeah, why did you know?
I don't know.
You know, that gives me some insight about your whole thing about, like, you're scared of things that could actually hurt you. Like, that doesn't make sense for, like, 6 foot tall Ben of today, but it does for, like, sleeping Ben afraid of clowns, sleeping by the door of the clown's lair. Yeah. And, like, so that, like, your inner monologue of, like, clowns can actually hurt me is still, like, very alive and healthy.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing that my parents did when we were younger to, like, alleviate that fear was when Lucas and I were scared of like monsters under our bed or monsters in our closet. They filled a spray bottle with water and labeled it Monster Spray.
They stole that straight from Space Jam.
Is that Space Jam?
Well, he fills a water bottle full of like awesome juice or like
Oh yeah,
secret,
and they would like spray
something.
it around the room, and they'd be like, "Okay, monsters are not going to come now." And it like genuinely made me feel better. I was like, "Oh, good, we have systems in place to address this." There are products on the market that fill this need.
The deep distrust of the government and capitalism hadn't yet sunk in.
Yeah.
So, okay. Can I make the case for dolls real quick?
Yeah, I do want to say real quick first, though, that I also do think dolls are very creepy. This is definitely not as much of a dichotomy as zombies and ghosts were last year. I also think dolls can be very, very creepy.
Okay.
Last year, he was straight up denying the fear of ghost fear.
Truth. All right. Well, I think anybody can understand then why something moving when it's not supposed to ever move is creepy. Because the thing is, a doll there are a million videos online that are, probably fake, of dolls just like moving their head a little bit or their arm a little bit, and that's enough to give me like total chills, whereas a clown has to like basically like have horrible, terrifying makeup and brandish a weapon, to really get my like blood pumping personally. So that's like my thing with dolls is like, just like one little move is like too much and immediately terrifying, because if they're capable of that, what else are they capable of?
Yeah, it's like clowns don't have that. Obviously they don't have that like unnatural, like something deeply unnatural.
I think Ben would
they
disagree.
do, but not as much as like an inanimate object moving.
Right,
ought
exactly.
not to.
But I was thinking as we were talking about why, like, what maybe not the root, but sort of the nature of Ben's like most visceral fears are, where it's like things that could actually hurt him. I was thinking about like what are the things that I have chosen as the scarier things across our 2 Halloween episodes? What do they maybe say about me? And I think maybe what I'm most afraid of are things that I might not notice until it's too late. Like zombies are like that, where like the scariest thing to me is that any like random disturbance or person walking in front of you, could as a totally rational person, shrug off any like concern that might be a zombie apocalypse, because who would think that? And then all of a sudden, like
you,
just me, because I don't want to get blindsided by that shit. This is what I'm saying. So, and it's the same with dolls. Like that thing could, like in Toy Story, that thing could live in your house for years and be getting up to all kinds of shit. And it could be a lot more nefarious than what's in Toy Story. Although Toy Story 3, pretty nefarious, but pretty evil. But, and you could never notice, and it could learn everything about you. Just everything.
Yeah, it's like you invite them into your homes as a trusted member of your family, and then secretly they're like moving and plotting to kill you.
Right. It's bad news.
Yeah.
Whereas clowns are like, fuck no, always, like, not coming into my house, not getting anywhere near me.
Right.
Like, your dolls are like, hey, that shit is supernatural, or clowns exist. They do. They're here.
Right.
They're, they're near, get used to it. But
my dolls are always around me.
Yeah.
All my dolls.
Hannah's house is really, for our millions of listeners who hasn't been to Hannah's house, it's full of dolls.
Yeah, everywhere.
Just absolutely
floor
everywhere.
to ceiling dolls.
But I had, don't worry,
little pads from like the living room
to make sure they're not haunted before they come into my house.
Strict interview process.
I have ghost spray.
Well, good cases for everything. I will say I watched it again to examine my feelings about, and it's not, the clown part of it is not scary to me, and it probably will be to you, Ben, because it's very scary. It's very scary. It was more like the most scary things were like when it was moving unnaturally. So I feel like that gets back to why I'm team dolls. Like it it added a layer of creepiness for Pennywise to be a clown, but like that wasn't the scariest parts of him.
We definitely had some creepy fucking dolls in our house growing up too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one that lives in the garage, or lived in the garage. I hope it's gone now.
It's gone.
Zach the Sack. We talked about Zach the Sack
We did.
before.
I can post my mom, when we did last time, Mom sent us pictures of Zach the Sack, and also his like sister. I can't remember.
That's
what
right,
her
and he
name
was
but
never
her
not
head
creepy.
spun. No,
like I
no,
thought
no.
it was just because he was old.
Yeah, no.
He was always fucking weird.
Yeah,
and
she sent us
creep-
pictures like in mint condition, and it was still so creepy.
I feel like in my room on the first floor in the closet, like up on the top, Mom had like some old doll from a kid that was like a baby, but it had like none of its clothes, and the eyes were like rubbed out, so it was really fucking creepy. And I like would forget it was there, and then like go and get something from my closet and like look up every now and again and see it and get freaked out. I'm pretty sure that's a true thing that I said. I hope Mom listens and tells us, because like that closet had boxes from the moving company that we used to move from Florida in it up until I left for college, which was like 11 years.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some shit in there that no one has moved in a while.
Yeah. Some secrets locked in that closet.
Yeah.
I got skeletons in my closet, Mama. I don't know.
I got baby dolls in my closet.
Which is creepier to have in your closet, skeletons or baby dolls?
Wow.
Impossible.
Tie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking tie.
Well, okay, good. I think that was...
I feel satiated here.
Me too. Great.
I'm glad
Same.
we worked through some stuff with Ben. I don't think we have any resolution. Sorry, I didn't mean to like fuck you up for quite your entire life.
It's fine.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, I'm
You're
good.
doing fine. Good.
I don't let it control me.
This episode is dedicated to our long-lost cousin Annie, who suffered a terrible fate at the hands of the child-eating clown who lived in the attic.
Several different
grandmother's
fates,
house.
apparently.
Who's Annie?
Yeah. Huh?
I said, who's Annie?
Who's Annie?
Hashtag who's Annie?
Yeah, I'll tell you the other one sometime. The other made-up. Or was it made-up story?
All right, homework time then?
Yeah.
Homework time. My homework is...
Don't watch these videos.
If you like creepy things and you don't mind some like kind of freaky visuals, then both of those accounts that I mentioned, ReignBot, ReignBot, and Night Minds are great. Night Minds is very prolific and does some really good and in-depth analysis. Like some of his videos are like over an hour long, but others are not. So if you don't want to be creeped out in that particular way, you could also just research alternate reality games and see if there's some interest there, because they're not all creepy necessarily. That's just kind of what it tends to focus on. Although a lot of them are kind of conspiracy oriented, because it's kind of just like the nature of who else would be sending secret messages that you have to decode, basically. And my Twitter is at Hanthropology, like the study people with an H at the beginning of it. It's cat themed now, my whole Twitter. So if you like cats, or if you like politics, or if you like just
Pina coladas.
yeah, I've been also been much more. I've been very sick of Facebook lately, so I've been much more active on Twitter. So
I deactivated my Facebook.
a lot of random stuff.
Nice.
You did. Maybe I should. Yeah, Facebook's dumb now.
Yeah, I'm not. I've been off of it for many, many months, and it's great.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, you're so cool, Erin.
Oh my god, we know.
Erin, what's your homework?
There is a really cute Como Cam going on right now.
Oh, wait. I also have another podcast. It's called So Dreamy. We talk about dreams. We listen to dream submissions. Erin sends them a lot. She's one of our best.
I really enjoyed your episode.
Thank you. I know you texted us. It was so nice.
Yeah, and I called you.
And you called us several times. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now do your homework.
Now me. Okay, hello. My name is Erin, and I have an obsession of storytelling. Check out the Monty. That's the storytelling organization here in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina area.
The Triangle.
The Triangle. If you live here, check out their live shows. Their next show, I think, is a curated event called Strangers. And that's the theme. And,
How dare you? Erin is talking.
Oh, come on. And the next one, well, I don't know when the next one is, but I'll be telling a story at the Grand Slam in April. And I'll be at the Carolina Theater, which is so cool. Okay. My Twitter is at ErinBurn. I'm in the middle of a freaking music project. I'm actually at the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
Hashtag 30 days of songs. I'm releasing a song every day on my website, erinburn.com. Yeah. Day 3 starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll be on day 4 by the time this podcast launches.
One thing I decided to start doing today is I made a highlights thing in our Instagram story, the WayTooBroad Instagram, for your project. So
thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome. So now if you go, I'm going to share them every day, but also if you go to our Instagram, there's a thing up there that says 30 days of, and then some music notes. And then you can vote on how pumped you are, and you can see all the songs, or the links to Erin's post about all the songs, basically.
Love it. Love it.
Yay.
Well, cool. Well, sweet.
Ben.
So yeah, I'm doing that. That's been fun. What else? I review lesbian movies at LesbianMovieReviews on Instagram. That's probably it.
That's probably it.
Great.
Yay.
Nice time together. Goodbye.
Ben, what's your homework? Goodbye, Erin.
My homework, I didn't bring up sessions, so I guess I'm just going to re-up some homework from the last couple weeks. Mainly watch Critical Role, because it's really good. We've been watching more of it. It's so good. It's just so good.
Oh,
They're
by
great.
the way, I started to watch that with Ian. We watched the first hour or so of the first episode, and
of campaign 2.
Yeah. And I was liking it, but he was getting super distracted by the people's faces, or one particular person's face. Is it Marisha?
Yeah.
He kept on insisting that she looked like Gillian Jacobs, and I kept on insisting that in no way did she look like Gillian Jacobs. And so he then eventually turned to me and was like, it's just really distracting. I don't really feel like looking at them is adding anything, so I don't want to watch this anymore. So I'm gonna start trying to incorporate it into my podcast schedule, but because Ian's not a fan of watching the YouTube videos, so I don't know when else I would watch them.
Okay.
So that's the status, but I think it's good.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a Twitter. It's Nicely Proved Ben.
Way to go, Ben.
Post pictures of my cat. The baseball tweets have slowed down since the season is now over. So it's mostly going to be politics and Como.
Great.
Nice.
Great mix.
So enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's that. By the way, I am sorry about that anecdote about Critical Role. That was mostly for Ben to tell Kylie, because I know that she's been wanting me to watch it.
I am sorry.
If you want to call us and let us know, why I shouldn't just send personal messages to one person in the plugs for my podcast, you can leave us a voicemail at 774-326-0420. Blaze it.
Blaze it.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, our Twitter is at TooBroadPod, TOO Broadpod. We tweet out details on all the new episodes when people interact with us on Twitter, such as that wonderful pun we discussed earlier. We retweet stuff like that. And also when new episodes come out, we'll tweet out, links and pictures that we talked about during the episode.
We should send the But Yeah Guys stickers.
That's a good idea. Actually, I should have mentioned he sent me a pin and a letter from Australia.
Oh,
It's
cool.
really nice. I joined their mailing list. And now, actually, speaking of ARGs, they have a little mini one. I'm supposed to try to solve a puzzle with the other people in the mailing list, but We haven't done it yet. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, which I mentioned before, we're at WayTooBroad on Instagram. You can also email us if you want to get in touch and tell us your favorite ARG at waytoobroad@gmail.com. And we also have a website that has all of the stuff, links to all the stuff that we talked about and all of these contact methods I just talked about, waytoobroad.com. If you leave us a review on iTunes, on Podknife, on Podcatcher, on any frickin' platform, we will send you the best sticker with our faces on it that's ever existed.
So big, so durable.
You will not be able to destroy this thing, even if you try.
You could try, you would fail.
You would fail. It's that durable. Please leave us a review. And that's it.
We love you.
We love
you.
you.
Good night.
We say goodnight. I just want to say I'm almost done all my drinks and everything's going great. So, love you. Good night.
Okay.
Stay out of my mentions.
The podcast candle is now extinguished.
I know, that's right.
Erin seems to be taking over being antagonistic towards the listeners.
It's our cross to bear now.
I didn't drink all my water.